Chairman, this is a sad day in the annals of this august subcommittee. In my 15 years on this subcommittee, we have forged a strong bipartisan tradition of thorough and meaningful investigations. That could have been the case with the Solyndra investigation. We have here a $525 million loan guarantee made with taxpayer funds that went bad. We need to learn the circumstances of the original deal as well as the refinancing. We need all the facts, all the witnesses, all the documents. Sadly, after seeing the majority's conduct of this investigation, I do not believe they share this goal. For example, in the last hearing that we had in this subcommittee, where there were emails by a Treasury employee suggesting the loan restructuring be sent to the Department of Justice, the majority only brought the Treasury Department in, never giving anyone the opportunity to find out why the DOE didn't get an opinion from Justice, and in fact resisting our efforts to put the legal opinion from Justice into the record. Now, I agree that White House documents should be produced, and in fact today the administration has provided this committee with over 800,000 pages of documents. 80,000 pages of documents. 80,000. The Departments of Energy and Treasury and the Office of Management and Budget have all produced documents on the matter, and they've all sent witnesses to testify before this committee. The White House has also already produced almost 1,000 pages of documents regarding communications with Solyndra and investors in the company. I believe that the majority's action in moving forward today with a subpoena resolution is an act of irresponsible partisanship. The committee has every right to seek and obtain relevant information from the White House to advance its legitimate oversight needs. But a subpoena to the White House is a serious step in a congressional investigation, and it's a step that should only be taken after alternative avenues have been exhausted. We clearly do not face those circumstances today. In contrast to subpoenas to executive branch agencies, a subpoena to the White House has the potential to reach communications all the way up to the President's desk. And that's why it's the long-standing practice of Congress and of this subcommittee to engage in meaningful discussions with the White House to attempt mutual accommodation when congressional oversight needs for White House information confront executive branch equities. In fact, I'm unaware of any subpoena to the White House ever from the Committee on Energy and Commerce under previous chairs, both Democrats and Republicans, and both when they did and did not share the same party affiliation with the administration. With respect to the subject of today's resolution to subpoena the White House, the starting point was the committee's October 5, 2011 request of the White House for documents relating to the Solyndra loan guarantee. In response to this request, the White House proposed the committee narrow its request to the following areas. 1. The influence of campaign contributions on the decision whether or not to grant or restructure the Solyndra loan guarantee. 2. Involvement by the White House in the decision whether or not to make a conditional commitment to Solyndra for its loan guarantee. 3. Involvement by the White House in the decision whether or not to close the Solyndra loan guarantee. And 4. Involvement by the White House in the decision to subordinate the government's interests as part of the restructuring of the Solyndra loan guarantee. The White House never said that they wanted to keep documents private that embarrassed people. The White House never said that they didn't want to produce documents if they implicated certain donors. In fact, they offered to produce all of these categories of documents. Now, I knew that this investigation didn't really mean getting all of the evidence. When I received the majority's media advisory that they sent out late last night that said, despite committee leaders' bipartisan outreach to avoid subpoena, White House fails to turn over requested documents, and said on page 2, a quote from the chairman Upton and Stearns, that the White House still refuses to turn over internal Solyndra-related communications, when in fact, I sat there in that meeting yesterday. Mr. Waxman sat there in that meeting yesterday. Our staff sat there with the majority and the White House, and the White House repeatedly said that they had turned over documents and they were willing to turn over more documents. Mr. Chairman, last night Mr. Waxman and I wrote a letter to you and to Mr. Stearns respectfully asking you to postpone the date of this subpoena issuance in an attempt to continue to work with the White House. I would ask unanimous consent to put a copy of that letter and a copy of the majority's media advisory into the record, and I would once again ask you, I would implore you to please postpone this hearing so that we can continue to work with the White House and avoid this unprecedented step of a subpoena.